There was a high school student named Yanju. He hit his friend with a rock without hesitation. Yanju seemed upset with his friend. After the incident, Yanju's mother was called to the school. She was shocked to see her son being beaten by his friend's parents. Yanju surrendered to the beating. After that, Yanju's mother weakly left Yanju's school. Yanju said that he could take care of the mess he made, but she seemed afraid that Yanju's father would find out about it. But Yanju didn't care. Yanju, who was a student, chose to work part-time at a restaurant. He casually went about his work. At that time, he delivered a bowl of noodles ordered by a father for his birthday son. Yanju felt sorry for the boy, so he took the boy for a walk and drove him home. When they arrived home, the little boy named Hugh Woon saw his father being beaten by thugs. It was known that Hugh Woon's father had a debt to the mafia and had not been able to pay it. On the other hand, Yanju needed money to pay compensation for hitting his friend. Therefore, Yanju planned to get a loan from the owner of the restaurant he worked at. Unfortunately, he didn't give Yanju the loan money. The Chinese restaurant owner suggested that Yanju ask his father instead. This made Yanju annoyed and hit the table because Yanju didn't want his father to know that he hit his friend. While a man accidentally listened to Yanju's conversation. The man named Che Jian was the mafia in the city. While going home, Yanju was attacked by Yuk Song-hoon, who was Myung-hoon's brother. Yanju explained that Myung-hoon was the one who bad-mouthed Yanju's mother. That made him upset and hit Myung-hoon. However, when Yuk Song-hoon asked Myung-hoon, Myung-hoon replied that he didn't badmouth Yanju's mother. This caused Yuk Song-hoon to hit Yanju. Yuk Song-hoon even mocked Yanju, who could not pay 300,000 won for compensation money. With a severe wound on his face, Yanju still went home. He saw his mother and stepsister named Hei-yan waiting for Yanju for dinner. Shortly afterwards, when Yanju was about to sleep, she saw her father, who came in drunk. Yanju felt anxious seeing her stepfather coming home. It was known that Yanju's stepfather often beat Yanju. Fortunately, that night Yanju was not tortured by her stepfather. The next day, Han-yan approached her in front of the Chinese restaurant where Yanju worked. She tried to approach Yanju in a friendly manner, but Yanju was fed up with Han-yan, who tried to be close. She asked when Yanju went back to school because the girl thought that Myung-hoon was afraid of Yanju. Yanju was actually looking for a way to pay compensation. Han-yan threw Yanju's motorcycle keys away, but Yanju didn't fight her. At night, Yanju was visited by a man named Song-mu. He was a subordinate of a mafia named Chai Jian. He was ordered to give Yanju 300,000 won to pay compensation. It turned out that Chai Jian not only heard Yanju borrowing money, but he also cared about Yanju. Song-mu also forbade Yanju to look for Chai Jian because the money was a gift, not a debt. Yanju was confused, but he felt relieved to have gotten the money. Without further ado, Yanju invited his mother to pay the compensation money to the school. But Yanju's mother was afraid that the money he got was stolen money. But Yanju assured his mother that the money was not stolen money, but money from his acquaintances. He just wanted his mother to be free from the thought of finding money for compensation. Yanju's little relieved life had to return to sadness because his father had found out that Yanju hit Myung-hoon. His stepfather said that Myung-hoon called him. This made Yanju's stepfather furious. Yanju tried his best to avoid his stepfather's punches, but finally, his stepfather managed to hit Yanju until he fell down. Yanju's temple was even injured from falling on a small tree branch in the room. Yanju's mother couldn't do anything and looked terrified seeing her husband hurt her son. Soon Hei-yan came and approached Yanju. She explained that her father was doing all this because his business was having problems. She promised not to allow her father to drink alcohol to prevent him from beating Yanju. Yanju's sadness increased when on the morning of his work, the Chinese restaurant owner fired Yanju. He reasoned that Yanju's injured appearance scared customers. Therefore, the Chinese restaurant owner was forced to fire Yanju. Hearing that, Yanju was devastated. He was sad and angry because he wanted to raise money to become a Dutch citizen later. Desperately, Yanju searched for where Chai Jian was. Luckily, he managed to find the mafia headquarters. There, Yanju begged to join Chai-jun's men to make money. At first, Chai-jian refused Yanju's request, but Yanju continued to insist, until finally Chai-jian gave in to see Yanju's persistence. After that, Sung Mu taught Yanju to start the motorcycle without a key. Yanju was then assigned to steal a motorcycle belonging to the owner of the Chinese restaurant that Yanju had worked at. At first, Sung Mu and Yanju broke the CCTV. Since Sung Mu was annoyed with Yanju, who forbade him from hitting the Chinese restaurant owner's dog, he finally left Yanju alone. Meanwhile, Yanju struggled to start the motorcycle. Fortunately, Yanju managed to start and then stole the motorcycle. The next day, Yanju saw a big boss giving advice to one of the legislative candidates named Zhang Yui-suk. The big boss has done various ways to win the election. He told Zhang Yui-suk not to be nervous about the election to make everything go smoothly. Then Big Boss, who was called Big Brother, left with Zhang Yui-suk from Chai-jian's headquarters. Before leaving, the Big Boss praised Chai-jian for doing well in his business. In the afternoon, Yanju came home. His stepfather tried to behave well, but Yanju was already afraid of him. He wanted to give Yanju money and told him to stop working, but Yanju didn't want to accept the money. Fortunately, Haiyan came to separate her father and Yanju. After that, Yanju chose to go to Chai-jian's place. That night, Yanju got dinner from Chai-jian. Chai-jian looked nice and calm. He was also independent because he had lived in that neighborhood since he was a child. After they ate together, Yanju told Chai-jian about his life. He said that he was born without a father. When he was in high school, his mother often met his stepfather. At first, Yanju was happy to have a father and a stepsister because his stepfather was generous to Yanju's mother. However, his stepfather turned rude to Yanju due to the decrease of his business. Therefore, Yanju allowed Haiyan to stay at home to prevent Yanju from getting a beating from his father. Hearing that, Chai-jian felt sorry for him. Chai-jian then said that he had never left this hopeless place before, so he knew how people around experienced hopelessness. Chai-jian also experienced a hard life like Yanju, but fortunately, he was able to survive by joining the big boss to become a mafia. Chai-jian then asked what Yanju's money would be used for. Yanju firmly said that he wanted to save money and go to the Netherlands where everyone was treated equally. But Chai-jian didn't believe that there was a place where everyone could be judged with the same value. The next day, Haiyan tricked Myung-hun to not bother Yanju. Haiyan took a picture of Myung-hun holding a woman's underwear in class. That way Haiyan was able to threaten Myung-hun. But Myung-hun actually called Yanju and told him about what Haiyan did to him. This made Yanju angry and took Haiyan's phone. That night, the big boss came to Chai-jian's headquarters. He told Chai-jian to solve a problem related to the attitude of one of the legislative candidates named Li, who was influenced by a politician named Kim. Chai-jian then gathered his men to plan a strategy so that the legislative candidate would obey what the big boss ordered. When they were confused about finding the right plan, Yanju proposed that the boss use a way to spread scandalous photos, for example with photos of legislative candidates sleeping with women or something like that. Hearing that, Chai-jian then agreed to Yanju's suggestion. Long story short, Yanju was ordered to be the eyes of the mission. Chai-jian ordered a man who owed him a debt to become a taxi driver and pick up the legislative candidate they were going to trap. Yanju was surprised to see that the man who became a taxi driver was the father of the little boy he had been traveling with. Then Yanju was assigned to be in the car trunk in order to listen to the conversation between the two of them and report anything odd. Before taking action, Chai-jian intended to cut 80% of the interest on Hugh Woon's father's debt payments. On the way after picking up the legislative candidate, Hugh Woon's father told him about a mafia who injured his son to unconsciousness was none other than Chai-jian. His son's illness made the man owe more and more to Chai-jian, the mafia. He was in debt with interest that was greater than his debt. The legislative candidate told him to report to the police, but Yanju stopped the plan and gave the legislative candidate a drink filled with anesthetic until he fainted. Yanju decided to do this so that Hugh Woon's father would not get into trouble for his betrayal. After making sure Lee's prospective politician fainted, Yanju then reported to Chaijian. He said that the plan didn't go as expected, and Yanju decided to take action. He couldn't report from the car because he ran out of battery. Night fell. Yanju and his friends carried out the action by photographing the legislative candidate sleeping with a man, and then the photo was printed. After that, Chaijian gave money to Hugh Woon's father, but Sungmu upset the man by reminding him to pay the debt immediately. The man was fed up and chose to tear the money from the boss. Yanju felt sorry for the man. Yanju was ordered to give the photo to politician Kim, who had apparently influenced a legislative candidate named Lee. After that, Chaijian gave a reward for the good work Yanju had done. Yanju was well accepted by Chaijian, who made him feel happy to have a second home. Yanju asked his boss to take revenge on Myung-hoon. Without further ado, that night Chaijian told Sungmu to go to Myung-hoon. Sungmu beat Myung-hoon and his friends with empty hands. Yanju was shocked to see that. Then Yanju went home and gave Hyeon's phone, which was taken by Myung-hoon. The next morning, Hugh Woon's father came to Chaijian's headquarters. He, who was trapped in a lot of debt, told the mafia to just kill him. He even banged himself on the table and tried to hurt himself. Yanju saw this clearly. He could only remain silent, but when Hugh Woon's father wanted to jump from the window, Yanju prevented him. He didn't want Hugh Woon's father to commit suicide. Then Yanju decided to take Hugh Woon's father's motorcycle and return it without Chaijian's knowledge. Shortly afterward, when Yanju was at home, suddenly Chaijian and Seonmu came while there was a dispute between Yanju, Hyeon, and Yanju's stepfather. Seeing Chaijian coming, Yanju's stepfather and Hyeon were confused by Chaijian's arrival. But Chaijian told Yanju to go into his room and meet him. It turned out that Chaijian knew that Yanju returned Hugh Woon's father's motorcycle. This made Chaijian angry. He asked how Yanju could dare to make a decision behind Chaijian's back. To punish Yanju, Chaijian decided to take one of the fingernails off Yanju's hand. But before that, Yanju asked if Chaijian didn't feel sorry for Hugh Woon's father. Chaijian, who felt annoyed and sorry for Yanju's condition, finally decided to take his own fingernail. He then reminded Yanju that if he felt sorry for Hugh Woon's father, then Yanju should pay the man's debt. After the incident, Yanju, who felt betrayed, then took back Hugh Woon's father's motorcycle. He returned it to Chaijian. Sadly, Chaijian didn't accept the old motorcycle back. Chaijian, who saw Yanju seemed to be wishful thinking, then advised him not to pursue his dream of becoming a survivor. The next day, there was a gathering of the mafia for a meal. The big boss gathered all his men in the context of the elections to be held. He also invited Jong Ui-suk. It turned out that Big Boss had financed his education and life. Big Boss chose to do this in order for Jong Ui-suk to help him in his business. However, it seemed that legislative candidate Jong Ui-suk was hesitant about his choice to run as an election candidate. Then Big Boss ordered Yanju to deliver a woman to politician Kim to an island. When Yanju returned, he saw Chaijian by the river. He then told him about his dark childhood with his father. Until one day, he met a big boss and made him a mafia. The next day at the headquarters, they saw news about Jong Ui-suk's resignation from the election, which would be held in one day. This made Big Boss very angry and disappointed with him. He then ordered Yanju to kill Jong Ui-suk. Yanju was forced to do his boss's command in order to get what he wanted. When he arrived at Jong Ui-suk's office, Yanju tried to kill him. But Yanju gave Jong Ui-suk the flexibility to explain his reason for resigning from the election to Big Boss over the phone. It was revealed that he was just tired of all this. He promised to return everything he got from Big Boss. Shortly after, Jong Ui-suk gave all the money he got to the boss. When Yanju was about to leave, Big Boss told Yanju to cut off Jong Ui-suk's leg because Big Boss felt that what Jong Ui-suk had done was like cutting off Big Boss's leg. Therefore, he wanted the same thing to happen to Jong Ui-suk. Then Yanju was about to return to the headquarters, but on the way, he had an accident that made him fall off the motorcycle. When he woke up from his stupor, he saw the Big Boss's money floating into the river. This made Yanju scared and planned to run away. Yanju also realized that his motorcycle was damaged, which caused him to crash. On the other hand, the big boss waited for Yanju's arrival from his mission, but it turned out that Yanju went home to get all the money. However, when he was about to leave, he found Chaijian's men coming to Yanju's house to arrest him. Luckily, Yanju managed to escape. He called his mother, but it turned out that his mother's phone was in Chaijian's hands. Here Chaijian thought that Yanju was a traitor. His thoughts changed after Yanju said that someone damaged his motorcycle and caused him to crash. Chaijian thought that it was Sungmu who damaged Yanju's motorcycle. Therefore, Chaijian invited him to the headquarters. Sungmu was shocked to see Chaijian selling all his stolen motorcycles, which turned out to be to replace the big boss's money that was floating in the river. Chaijian got angry and hit Sungmu, who damaged Yanju's motorcycle. Then Yanju came with Heiyan. Yanju asked for time to pay all the big boss's money. He told Heiyan to stay with Chaijian as collateral. Yanju then tried to steal money from a clothing store. Sadly, the money was not enough and Yanju chose to leave. On the way, his motorcycle ran out of gas, which made Yanju want to steal a motorcycle to make money. At the same time, Yanju saw himself full of blood. He realized that he was ruined and didn't deserve forgiveness. He then decided to return to Chaijian's headquarters. He tried to cut his hand with a paper cutter, but Chaijian prevented Yanju from cutting his hand. Instead of obeying Chaijian, Yanju tried to fight him until a fight happened. Chaijian beat Yanju to realize what he did. Unfortunately, Yanju ignored Chaijian. Until on one occasion, Yanju stabbed Chaijian. When Yanju tried to stop the action, Chaijian, who was tired of his life, finally told Yanju to kill him. After that, Yanju took Heiyan home. When they arrived home, Yanju saw his mother, who was badly injured and died. This happened because Yanju's stepfather was afraid that Heiyan would run away and get angry with Yanju's mother. Seeing his lifeless mother, Yanju was devastated and hopeless with his life because the person he loved was gone. Soon his stepfather came and apologized to Heiyan and Yanju for killing their mother. Yanju was furious and was about to hit his stepfather with the baseball bat that his stepfather used to torture Yanju. But Heiyan tried to stop Yanju. Yanju kept walking towards his stepfather. Luckily, Yanju didn't hit his stepfather. He just sat beside his mother and said they should both leave from that place. The hopeless Yanju finally chose to leave the city. He invited Heiyan to go to Myeongin City to live a better life.